it's nights like tonight that just bring a smile to my face when I consider myself a pro wrestling fan. I don't really know what else to add on top of what I already stated on Twitter tonight, with Dynamite ending with that epic closing segment in that steel cage match between Cody and Wardlow. I don't know what else to add, but man, am I proud to be a fucking fan of AEW, man. Proud to be a fan of pro wrestling. Pro wrestling. Wrestling. This is what you got tonight. This is what you got tonight. The foundation of why we love what we love. Pro wrestling. AEW went into this Atlanta show tonight for Dynamite with one thing and one thing only, ready to give everybody. Pro wrestling. Pro wrestling. What a concept. I watched 3 hours of Monday Night Raw and 2 hours of SmackDown on Fox, which is god-awful. I watched 5 hours of pro wrestling on Monday and Friday, and I got more in this one episode of Dynamite than I will any week. Any week, I'll watch WWE programming. I got storytelling told from them to me, them to us, the viewer, on what they did in that ring tonight. No what ifs. I'm not questioning anything. I'm not overly dissecting anything. I'm not bored. I'm not watching rematch after rematch after rematch. 8-man tags, 6-man tags, tag team matches, promos long-winded that go nowhere. Only tell me that you don't know where you want to go with storylines. Dynamite tonight. And listen, I've been very honest with you guys as long as I've been on this, as long as I've had off the script, as long as I've been doing a podcast, as long as I've been a YouTube content creator, no matter if it's a gaming video or a wrestling video or my thoughts and opinions on anything, I've always been open and honest with you guys. Always. And I never deterred from that, where people have always told me, oh, you got to be a little bit more positive to grow. I say this to positivity. Oh, you got to be overly positive to grow. You're so negative, nobody wants to hear negativity. I don't know what Wednesday tells you guys, but I know when I watch Monday and Friday, I have to be negative because we are fed negativity from the E. But on Wednesdays, do you ever really hear negativity out of me? I think the only time you really heard negativity from me was when the Collective of Nightmares was on TV. And towards the end of 2019 with Dynamite probably putting on their worst shows yet. And I honestly started to sour on Dynamite. I was like, what is going on here? Is it the Christmas lull? Does everybody just fall into this Christmas lull? Should I just not anticipate any good shows from anybody during the holiday season? I was wondering how Dynamite was going to start the new year. And man, these last 2 shows especially, 2020 has been fantastic so far for AEW, but these last 2 shows have been absolutely phenomenal. Last week, I said I thought it was the best flowing show that Dynamite has ever produced. I don't know what's changed. I don't know who's taking the reins. I don't know if Tony Khan is picking this thing up like that. I don't know. But man, tonight's show was not only the best Dynamite show yet, it was the most important Dynamite show yet, and it was absolutely perfect. It was a pay-per-view on TNT. It was a pay-per-view on free TV tonight. Had a pay-per-view feel. The crowd in Atlanta was unbelievable tonight. If you are shitting And there are people in the community, these faceless fucking idiots that hide behind a Becky Lynch avatar and they hide behind a fucking LeBron James avatar on Twitter. These fucking no-life idiots on social media, right? These faceless idiots that are too afraid to show their real person on social media. They live to troll because they have no direction in life. Not only them, but if you shit on Dynamite, if you are still shitting on Dynamite, and trust me, they're not perfect, and they will have their ups, which they're in right now. They will have their downs. They will be coming down from this unbelievable string of shows. Believe me. Believe me. And when they do bad, I will call them out. When they do good, I will certainly give them all the praise that they deserve. But if you are still shitting on Dynamite at this point in their run, this is show number 20 on TNT for AEW. If you're still shitting on Dynamite right now, you are merely shitting on Dynamite to be a fucking asshole. That's the only reason why you're shitting on Dynamite. I don't want to hear about this. Oh, it's not WWE. I'm for the WWE flag. I'm not here to fucking, pick sides. I'm not picking sides like I would Starbucks or Dunkin'. You know what, asshole? I enjoy both. But you know what? I always go for Dunkin' over Starbucks. I love Starbucks coffee, but I will always go for Dunkin'. Why? It's just better suited for me. I like the taste. Their taste, as far as coffee goes, is better suited for me in all facets of my day, whether it's the morning, the afternoon, or the night. That's why I go to Dunkin'. JD runs on Dunkin', but I'm never going to turn away a great Starbucks coffee, especially if you go to the Roastery in Manhattan. Oh my goodness, man. I could spend all day there. I might be there on Saturday, spending $15 on a fucking iced coffee. Regardless, I will never choose sides because I love coffee. I don't care if it's Dunkin', I don't care if it's Pete's, I don't care if it's fucking Newman's, I don't care if it's Seattle's Best, Folgers, which I will never be drinking, period, but it's coffee. But Dunkin' and Starbucks, man, I will never choose a side because I love coffee. I love pro wrestling. It's the same thing. No matter if it's AEW or NXT, I love pro wrestling. There's no reason to choose sides. If you missed Dynamite tonight, if you are skipping AEW because of your allegiance to fucking WWE, or if you're missing Dynamite because you have this propaganda and an agenda out there to shit all over AEW when they don't really deserve to be shit on, for whatever reason, they're ruining pro wrestling, or whatever the fuck these people come up with, these excuses. It is your loss. It is your loss. If you're shitting on AEW still, you are merely doing it because it proves to everybody how much of a blithering idiot you are. You are doing it because you're an asshole. Simple. I am JD. I'm the biggest asshole there is. And this is Off the Script. It is February 19th, 2020. We are going to go over this show tonight in detail, like we always do on OTS. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Big night tonight. We had that tag team battle royal, and somebody from fucking AEW was listening to me, and I'm sure they had this already. They didn't listen to me to get the fucking rules and regulations for a tag team battle royal. They got plenty of big-brained individuals over there where they know, well, WWE's doing it all wrong. We're going to show them. So I'm pretty sure they had the rules in the bag already before I even mentioned it. I just asked, please, don't go the WWE route. And they listened. Tag Team Battle Royal with both members of the team needing to be eliminated. And what did I mention the past couple of weeks? What happens if you have one member of one team still remaining against a full tag team at the end? What happened? How did the Tag Team Battle Royal end up tonight? Exactly how I envisioned a Tag Team Battle Royal should end up. Thank you, All Elite Wrestling. Great Tag Team Battle Royal. We'll go over that and who won that and what I think of all that stuff. We got a great, what I thought was a great, especially if you compare it to the other things that we've seen as far as the women's division goes on this show. Shanna versus Kris Statlander. One of the better women's matches on Dynamite tonight. If we get more women's division matches like that, I would not complain. It was short, it was sweet, it did its thing. It was obviously a part of the show that really wasn't built up or important, but I enjoyed it. And we got two women in there that don't really make a lot of mistakes. We got two women in there that I enjoy very much, and I'd like to see more of. So we got some women's action tonight with Shanna and Kris Statlander. Nyla Rose. No matter what you guys think about Nyla Rose, and I know the big Valboski pissed her off this week. Nyla Rose comes out and she has an interview with Tony Schiavone, and she cut an absolutely blistering promo on Dynamite, and I loved every minute of it. We're going to go over what she said, and the vibe behind that promo was just a home run. So good shit by Nyla Rose there. Jon Moxley and Jeff Cobb. This was the big deal. Jeff Cobb introduced last week as the hired hitman for the Inner Circle and Chris Jericho. And he wanted to give Jon Moxley a legitimate tour of the islands tonight. Did he do that? We'll go over what Jeff Cobb looked like in his AEW debut. And even though he was walking into a loss, how did he look in a losing effort tonight against Jon Moxley before Moxley's match with Jericho at Revolution? The Lucha Brothers versus Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page might have been the match of the night. Probably was the match of the night, even though we did have a steel cage match with Cody and Wardlow. Unbelievable stuff here. Lucha Brothers continue to show everybody why they are one of the best tag teams in the entire world. Kenny Omega and Adam Page loving their run as tag team champions, and I can't wait for the demise of Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page. So we'll go over that match. Unbelievable tag team title match tonight on Dynamite. And then Cody versus Wardlow in the steel cage match. How did Wardlow look in his first outing on AEW television? And Cody, man, is a absolute fucking lunatic. Holy shit. That moonsault off the top gave me heart palpitations watching that from my couch. So we'll go over that steel cage match and what that means going into Revolution. Guys, follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys do it on both. I would really appreciate it. We are so close to 30,000 followers on Twitter, and we are dangerously close to hitting that 10,000 mark on Instagram. So if you guys want to follow on both, please do so. I would greatly appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. Most important, hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell for all notifications. We are here every single week covering Dynamite in full detail. So if you guys appreciate an honest opinion on Dynamite, not only on Dynamite, but Raw, NXT, and SmackDown every single week, hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell for all notifications. If you missed any of my other uploads during the week, there's plenty of it off the script from this past weekend, Monday Night Raw from Monday. Make sure you guys go and check all those videos out. Links will be down in the description of this very video. And if you want to support the podcast a little bit more and show some extra appreciation, make sure you guys check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/JD from NY206. Thank you guys so very much for all that. Tag Team Battle Royal is what opened Dynamite tonight in Atlanta, Georgia. I was very excited about this. I don't really like Battle Royals. I hate Battle Royals. I've made that very well known. Them and Lumberjack matches, I just can't stand. I can't stand either one of these matches. Just a regular battle. The Royal Rumble's different. Different rules in a Royal Rumble, same procedure. Over the top rope, both feet got to hit the floor, but that is a little bit more confined and a little bit more organized with every individual coming in every 90 seconds or so. This one, Battle Royals, I'm not a big fan of, but especially Tag Team Battle Royals, which we haven't seen a lot of. WWE has done them in the past and made a mockery of the Tag Team Battle Royals. Do you know how ridiculous it looks? I don't know when the last time WWE had a Battle Royal, a Tag Team Battle Royal was, but it had to be maybe a couple of years ago where Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre were a pairing on Monday Night Raw. And there was a Battle Royal. And I think Dolph Ziggler got eliminated and Drew McIntyre was still in the ring. Drew fucking McIntyre is still in the ring. Do you know how ridiculous it looked when Dolph Ziggler was eliminated in that Tag Team Battle Royal? And because he was eliminated, the referee has to usher Drew McIntyre out of the ring. Well, you can't be in the ring even though you didn't get eliminated, but Dolph Ziggler got eliminated. You got to be eliminated as well. Do you know how ridiculous that looks? Never mind, sounds. Do you know how ridiculous that looks? So, if WWE goes about ever doing a tag team battle royal again, and we see something along the lines of what we seen then and not what we seen tonight, man, I'm going to shit all over it. They finally got it right here with this AEW Tag Team Battle Royal. Thank God somebody has a fucking brain and common sense in this company. If one member of a team is eliminated, the other one still has a chance to win the match for said team. Those were the rules. Those were the rules, folks. It's very, very simple. So we got everybody in the ring. We got everybody around the ring to start Dynamite. Bell rang. Everybody ran in. Battle Royal was underway. We're just going to go over the eliminations here until we get to the closing segment of this match. Jack Evans was eliminated after a senton. He tried a senton off the top. The entire ring, whoever was in the ring at that time, caught him and then dumped him over the top rope. Jack Evans, goodbye, bro. T-Hawk of the Strong Hearts was eliminated by Isaiah Cassidy after a silly string, so that was that. Evil Uno, he wasn't in the match, but he was in the crowd, and he was there with that unnamed Dark Order representative, and said, "The Exalted One is approaching. The Exalted One is near." Oh, he's near, and he's going to get ready to delete AEW Dynamite. I can't wait. Matt Hardy is done, folks. He is done, and he might be coming in as the Exalted One. It's either him or Brody Lee, but I don't see Brody Lee in that situation. I don't see Brody Lee as a leader of the Dark Order. I see Brody Lee being a Bruiser Brody type badass on his own. He could fit into that heel role. He could fit into that babyface role. I don't think he should have any affiliation with anything. I think he should just be Brody Lee. I heard some people, I guess, making rumors or speculation online that Brody Lee's going to be the Exalted One. It doesn't fit his character. It doesn't fit his character. It fits Matt Hardy's character. And I can't wait to see what they do with that. If it's not Matt Hardy, the gimmick of the Dark Order is dead. Nobody's going to give a shit because they really have no direction outside of who the Exalted One is, and the Exalted One is near. So if it's not Matt Hardy, goodbye to the Dark Order. So both of these guys, Evil Uno and the representative, were in the crowd, and they were talking shit to SCU, Kazarian and Scorpio Sky in the ring. So they were talking trash from the crowd, and the Young Bucks then super kicked both members of the Dark Order out of the ring after they had eliminated SCU. So with the distraction, SCU got eliminated by the Dark Order members that were in the match, and then we got the Young Bucks eliminating the Dark Order, which kind of cancels out whatever the Dark Order had wanted to say as far as talking trash to SCU. I mean, they look like losers. They look like fucking losers. Yes, the Exalted One is coming. Okay, he's supposed to grant all this power to the Dark Order, right? Yet the Dark Order in this tag team match look like fucking buffoons. They get eliminated instantly, which kind of, I guess, voided out all of the trash talking they did to SCU. SCU eliminated, they jumped the barricade, they took out the representative, they took out Evil Uno, so, you know, that's going to happen. And they mentioned something about Christopher Daniels. Where is he? If he's such a friend, why isn't he at ringside with you guys? If Christopher Daniels is the Exalted One, again, you might as well just kill this thing off like you did the Nightmare Collective. I'm sorry. Shima, he was in there. T-Hawk, his partner, was eliminated. He tried to eliminate Jungle Boy from the apron with a German suplex, but Jungle Boy held on, ducked in between the top rope and the bottom rope, or the middle rope, rather. And with a German suplex, he tried to pull Jungle Boy off the apron, and he was eliminated by Luchasaurus, who came flying in with a big boot after Jungle Boy had ducked his head underneath the third and second ropes. Santana and Ortiz, they were not in the ring. I'm asking myself at this point, where the fuck are they? And then Tony Schiavone mentioned something about them standing at ringside, outside the ring. They were out there for about 10 minutes just surveying the competition. Where was the referees in this instance telling them to get in the ring? See, this is why I don't like Battle Royals. Very lenient, and you always see this very typical formulaic shit done by a heel who crawls out of the ring and hides underneath the ring until the very end, or a team like Proud and Powerful here, which Santana wasn't wearing the eye patch. I guess that's all over with. His eyes all healed. They were looking around for 10 minutes and then picked their spot to enter the match. I don't like that. They should have been in there, even though they're heels. They should be in there with everybody else. That's just my opinion there. Shima was given a Dark Order mask after he was eliminated by Evil Uno. He was like all happy. Do I take it? Do I accept? Probably not. He's never really seen on this show, so I don't know what it would do to add Shima to the Dark Order. Nick Jackson, about 10 minutes in, had a ton of offense, elbows, kicks. He was eliminated. Nick Jackson was eliminated by the Butcher with a back body drop over the turnbuckle. He hit the floor hard. He is done. The Young Bucks cut down by 50%. Luchasaurus and the Butcher had a showdown in the middle of the ring, both men trading massive shots. They both eventually knocked each other out and down. Nice little back and forth there. Luchasaurus is awesome. Private Party still on this thing. They tried Silly String on Santana and Ortiz. Two House of Glory teams here, so if anybody knows Private Party, it is Santana and Ortiz. They tried Silly String on Santana and Ortiz. They knew it was coming, and they were like, bro, we ain't here to party. So they eliminated both Quen and Cassidy after a failed Silly String attempt, and goodbye, Private Party. Luchasaurus eliminated Angelico with a big boot. Jungle Boy was eliminated by Santana and Ortiz, I believe. Luchasaurus was then taken out by everybody because they seen Jungle Boy get eliminated, and Luchasaurus was like, I guess he was saying something to Jungle Boy. He was leaning over the ropes, and then everybody kind of tagged up together and eliminated Luchasaurus, so goodbye. Their day will come. They are too over to not be tag team champions. You know what I see? You know what I see? This is what I see heading into the tag team championship situation. If the Revival do come in, you know for a fact the Bucks are going to be feuding with the Revival. The Bucks take the titles off of Omega and Page at Revolution. They hold the titles all the way up until, I don't know, it could be either All Out or it could be Full Gear in November. The Revival come in, they beat the Bucks for the tag team titles, and we get a year of just growth from Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, and we get Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus built up to that point where they get better in the ring, they get better as a tag team, they're even more over than they are now, and then you get the heels in the Revival against Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus for the tag team championships. I think that would be great. I really do think that would be great. So we got the Jurassic Express eliminated in this thing. The Best Friends, they're still here. They took out Santana and Ortiz. They went for a big hug, but the Blade said, fuck your hug. We ain't here to fucking show emotion, motherfucker. He eliminated Chucky T. So we were left hanging without a hug. Trent was going to be eliminated by the Blade, but Orange Cassidy saved him on the outside, landed on Orange Cassidy's shoulders, and Orange Cassidy, in a electric chair position, walked Trent over to the steel steps and guided him to safety so he could re-enter the match. Don't know where he came from. I don't think anybody cares where he came from. He's smooth as the other side of the pillow. Or cool, I should say, as the other side of the pillow. Came out of nowhere, and he was Trent's guardian angel, I should say, in this instance. So Matt and Trent, friends, obviously. Matt filling in for Chucky T. They started working as a team together. That was his only friend in the match at this time against all these heels left remaining in this thing. They grounded all the heels here and there, and then they eventually did the hug spot with the Okada pan-out camera angle. Love it. Love it. But as soon as they hugged, Butcher destroyed both with a double clothesline. Butcher and Trent on the apron. Cassidy was there to try and make the save just in case Trent was being eliminated. So both guys are chopping each other. He's right there surveying all the action. The bunny comes walking over, and she started flirting with Cassidy, and then all of a sudden kicks him right between the legs, kicks him in the dick, and then Trent was eliminated by the Butcher. That's how it goes, bro. I guess Orange Cassidy is not a ladies' man, or maybe Allie doesn't find anything attractive about guys that look like Orange Cassidy. Sorry, Solid Monster. I'm sorry. Butcher was on the apron from the last spot. Matt Jackson speared him off the apron because he went over the top rope anyway, but he was on the apron. Matt speared him through the middle rope, but the Butcher fell to the ground, so he was eliminated. Matt was not eliminated because he went through the middle rope. So now we are down to Matt Jackson, Santana, and Ortiz. Sammy Guevara is on the outside, obviously there for the inner circle to assist. Double German suplex, or double Northern Lights, I should say, by Matt on Santana and Ortiz. Guevara interjected, which led to a street sweeper by Proud and Powerful. They dumped him, but Matt hung on. You know, the typical heel spot, throw somebody over the top rope, they walk away as if he was eliminated, but he still hangs on. So Matt hung on. Ortiz was on the apron. It looked like Santana was going to run into him, and we were looking at a miscue in motion, and then all of a sudden he stopped. So I'm like, all right, guys, listen, I got you. I'm not going to bump into you this time. Matt super kicked Ortiz down to the floor. He fell to the floor. He was eliminated. Sammy comes in, springboarded off the top rope, and gets absolutely fucking plastered with a super kick. Did he sell this thing? Oh my God. Did he sell this super kick? Matt clotheslined Santana over the top, and the Young Bucks win a very fun tag team battle royal. Predictable. The only negative here is that it was predictable. I didn't really see any other team winning this battle royal. So the Young Bucks win the battle royal in a very predictable outcome, but it was fun nonetheless. This is a good predictable. Not like the fucking bullshit that we see with the Elimination Chamber on Monday Night Raw with Shayna Baszler and Asuka, the Riot Squad, and Natalya in the Elimination Chamber. Like anybody but Shayna Baszler is going to win that Elimination Chamber match. Give me a fucking break. Why is there even a Elimination Chamber match? That's a bad predictable. This is a good predictable. Young Bucks win, and they go on to challenge the winner of tonight's tag team title match, either the Lucha Brothers or Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page. This was fun, and I thought this was awesome. Really good open to the show. Shanna, either way. I like her. I think she's great. She's got a very good look. She is very nice in the ring. And she went one-on-one with Kris Statlander. And I've been a big fan of Kris Statlander. I've called a couple of her matches in House of Glory. And I'm happy to see that AEW really jumped on the fact of signing her. She is going to be a big deal in this women's division. Really good stuff here. So this was probably one of the better women's matches that we've seen on Dynamite so far, and that has been very difficult to come by, to be perfectly honest with you. Statlander started out by touching Rick Knox on the nose, because she is the galaxy's greatest alien, so she has this thing with noses. I don't know. Statlander was in a wrist lock to start, and she cartwheeled herself out. Round and round we go with the Statlander cartwheel. Some people were making fun of this on social media. I don't know why. It's what she does. It's amazing. People say I complain, but if you look on social media, on Twitter, man, the things people complain about are much worse than what I complain about. I have a fucking reason to complain every week on Monday and Friday. But man, the things people complain about, what is this shit? What is going on? Will you let her play her fucking gimmick, please? Jesus Christ. So she cartwheeled herself out of a wrist lock. Shanna looked confused. Statlander then did a handstand into a head scissor and took Shanna down. That's all it was. It was a nice spot. I didn't mind it at all. It fit into the character of Kris Statlander. So Shanna and Statlander were standing on their feet, and then they had not a slugfest, it was a nose fest. They started touching each other's nose, and they had a nose touch-off. So one and the other, going back and forth, just touching each other's nose. Shanna ended that with a big forearm. She said, enough of this shit, enough of this childish shit. Big forearm to Statlander. And then, at one point, Statlander, I think, did a pie face. She took her hand and shoved Shanna's face away. And Jim Ross was talking about pie faces and cake on commentary. I did my best to take down whatever he said, because this is a thing. What did Jim Ross say now on Dynamite? It's like a fucking running thing now every single week. Ross ranted about how it should be cake face. And not just pie face, because he likes cake better than pie. Now, I don't know if this was made to be a sexual innuendo because he likes cake. And maybe he thinks Kris Statlander has a lot of cake. I don't know. I don't know what this was. Listen, this is not Titus Catering. If you want cakes and pies and recipes and pink lemonade, go and check out TitusCatering.com. Simple. So, he was mentioning that he likes cake. And apparently he had a coffee sitting in front of him that he felt was laced with Blue Chew throughout the evening. I don't know why, but a nice plug for my friends over at Blue Chew. Now, the reason why it's called pie face is because back in the, the early 1900s, it's been happening for over a century. It's been happening for as long as I could remember, really. Back in the early times when things were black and white, you know, their form of entertainment, their form of comedy was taking a pie and throwing it in somebody's face. And that's where pie face originated from. So he was talking about cake and pies, and then we go to commercial break. And then I went to go grab myself a couple of cookies and sat down with a nice cup of coffee myself. He got me hungry for cookies and sugar and coffee during Dynamite. So that's that. So we went to commercial with Shanna in control. We came back from commercial. Statlander started to make her comeback. Big forearm, big knee in the corner to Shanna. Powerbomb by Statlander for a near fall on Shanna. Statlander up top now. She took too much time. I don't know what she was going for, but Shanna caught her with a foot and knocked her down. She was straddling the top rope. Statlander then ended up in a tree of woe. Shanna with a double foot stomp off the top for a 2 count. Very nice spot there by the ladies. Statlander missed a clothesline. Shanna with a tilt-a-whirl DDT that looked great. She planted Kris Statlander. Went for cover, only got a 2 count. Statlander was laid out on the bottom rope. Shanna with a huge Finn Balor-like hesitation missile dropkick for another 2 count. Shanna got up, and just as quick as she got up, I don't know what she calls it. I'm going to call it a modified tombstone until I figure out what the actual name of this move is. If anybody has a legit name for this move, please leave it down in the comment section below. I didn't hear them on commentary, but Statlander got her in her finishing move, that modified tombstone, package tombstone, and that was it. Statlander wins just like that, and this was the right outcome for sure. They're building Statlander up there. They're moving on from the Nightmare Collective thing where she was in position for a title shot, and they're moving her back into that title shot position. And this was a very good match for what it was. It was the weakest thing on this show. It was something to just put on the show on top of everything else that was on this show, but it was probably one of the better women's matches that we've seen in recent memory. So that makes 2 weeks in a row where AEW has delivered some decent women's division action. We got Nyla Rose and Riho, which was very good last week. Not the best, but very good. And then this week we got Shanna and Kris Statlander. If they could keep that up and start building around that core set of women, Statlander and Shanna and Nyla Rose and Britt Baker, if you add to that, if you get some legit competition in that division, again, I'd love to see Jamie Hayter back on AEW television. If they could start building around that, then we will be in good position to finally start getting some decent women's action on Wednesday nights with AEW. Speaking of the women's division, clearly following this women's match on Dynamite, Nyla Rose comes out and she is ready to cut a promo with Tony Schiavone. Now, I'm not going to go over what Val Venus, the big Valboski, had to say on social media. I don't really meddle in that garbage. You know, I have done a very good job of staying away from all the fucking people who want to chime in on this particular Nyla Rose situation. Oh, you know, about her gender. I'm not even going to reiterate what people say because it's just so fucking stupid. I'm here to do a job. If you want to crack a joke, do it on your own fucking time, on your own Twitter. I'm not here to meddle in your fucking bullshit, okay? Jim Cornette mentioned something on his podcast about how AEW should really play up the fact that, you know, Nyla Rose is the AEW Women's Champion and use everything that people are saying about her and make her a legitimate hated heel. And I can't really let me see if I could find the article. I can't really say that I disagree with him at all. I really can't say that I disagree with him whatsoever. If I could find the news article here, let me see if I could find it. I know I seen it this afternoon, and it was an interesting read on what he said about Nyla Rose. I can't seem to find it here. Anyway, the basis of it was that he thought that AEW should use Nyla Rose and her gender being such a big deal, use that as driving home the fact that she is a massive heel on AEW television. And again, I can't really say that he is wrong on that situation. This promo was fucking great. I don't care what you think about Nyla Rose. I don't care what you are going to classify Nyla Rose as. I am here to do a job, and I'm here to tell you that Nyla Rose cut a great fucking promo. There's a lot of things in this promo that you don't really see nowadays in a pro wrestling promo. There was fire, there was intensity, there was legitimacy, and there was believability. Now, outside the one line about the people in the crowd being little buzzing bees, which is kind of lame, to be perfectly honest with you, everything directed, word for word, everything in this promo directed at the audience was, I felt Nyla Rose just coming through this with just sheer fucking intensity and anger. This was her platform. This was her moment to just kind of go out there and just be forceful about how she really feels in oh so many words. You know, this was great. This was a great, like Britt Baker's promo, shitting all over Whataburger. This was a great promo by Nyla Rose. Shivani interviewed Nyla Rose on the ramp. Ross talked about her as an amazing competitor early in her career and already being AEW Women's Champion. Shivani congratulated her. She complained about the greeting the fans gave her. "That's how you greet me?" she asked. "Is that really a greeting for a champion?" she asked. She then said that they sound like a bunch of annoying little bees buzzing around. Again, I didn't like that line. I thought it was very childish and lame. She then held her title belt up and said, "This is justice," because she should have been the first champion. Now, to each his own. Some people don't like Riho. I don't. I never liked Riho at all. And a lot of people said Nyla Rose should have been the first AEW Women's Champion. But if you look back at that particular situation, it was either Nyla Rose or Riho. Was Nyla Rose ready in that moment? I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm glad that they went about, and again, I'm not a big fan of Riho, but I think the weight on giving Nyla Rose the championship was probably the right decision. A, they gave you a little speck of what's to come, right? The mismatch between both of them works out great. That David versus Goliath aspect works out great. They had a great back and forth early on in the beginning stages of AEW. And then we see them both here on last week's show with Nyla Rose getting the win and the championship. Nyla Rose is a much better competitor than she was then. Nyla Rose is coming into her own much more now than she is then. And the story was there. So going into the match last week, she also had a story going in and a brief little history with Riho, right? So I love the fact that she said that she should have been the first women's champion because she knows that she is the most dominant woman in the division, but I'm glad that they didn't do it because it's much better off for her now that she did it as opposed to then, in my opinion. She said she should be the highest paid woman in the locker room and the face on all of the posters. Some people were telling me that this was a shot at Becky Lynch. I don't see how. I don't see why she would concern herself with Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch did come out and say that she deserves to be the highest paid performer in all of WWE, far greater than Vince McMahon. Becky Lynch is delusional. I think that red hair is seeping into her fucking brain. She said waiting made her hungry. She said when she gets hungry, she breaks bitches. That's a good line. It's not a line about buzzing bees and honey. But breaking bitches, I could get behind that, man. When Shivani said Riho showed a lot of courage, Nyla grabbed the microphone away from Shivani and asked where courage got her. She said she has power, and this is where you heard that voice just raise a couple of octaves. She said at the end of the day, one fact remains. She's the queen bee in this hive. Oh, now I see where she was going with the bees and the buzzing around. She said she has power. At the end of the day, one fact remains. She's the queen bee in this hive. She said she'll be a one-time champion because nobody can beat her and nobody is a beast like her. I did like that line a lot. A one-time champion? That shows a lot of confidence in what you are bringing to the table here. Kris Statlander walked out and instead of poking her nose, Nyla's nose, like she did Shanna and Rick Knox before, she actually poked her finger at Nyla's belt, the AEW Women's Championship. Rose swatted it away, and then Big Swole came out and got in Nyla's face and says, "You want to do this? You want to do this, brother?" Now, people were making fun about this on social media. You know, Big Swole calling Nyla Rose a brother made the rounds on social media because everybody's an immature fucking cretin. So people were having fun with that. Security came and tried to break up the chaos here that was about to happen. Nyla was getting in Swole's face. Statlander and Big Swole had a brief stare-off there. And that was pretty much it. Nyla Rose walked to the back. This was great. I love this segment. This was really well done. And Nyla Rose cut a great promo on AEW tonight. Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley versus Jeff Cobb. And I was very much looking forward to this match. This was one of the highlighted matches that they've promoted since Jeff Cobb's debut last week. Jericho scoured the globe to find an assassin, a hired gun to take out Jon Moxley, which plays into the fact that Jericho is legitimately throwing everything at Jon Moxley, and he can't take him out. I love it. It's just good, old-fashioned, classic storytelling. I was looking forward to Jeff Cobb. I'm a big fan of Jeff Cobb. I mentioned last week with his debut on Dynamite that one of my favorite matches on commentary, doing commentary for House of Glory, was Jeff Cobb versus Montekia. And this was back a couple years back, and it was more of a comedy match mixed with some seriousness going on because Jeff Cobb brings that legitimacy. I had a blast calling this match, man, and I got to pat myself on the back. I loved my call on his Tour of the Islands finish in that match. Loved it. It was just such a fun match to call. Cobb has this look. You know, a lot of people look at Cobb, and WWE, I'm assuming, thought the same thing when they looked at Cobb. He looked very generic in appearance, but man, do not let looks fool you. Please do not judge the book by its cover. Please. This guy is absolutely, from top to bottom, one of the most dynamic fucking talents you can find in pro wrestling. Where looks really aren't all that much. I mean, he's not going to be on the posters of fucking WrestleMania. He's not going to be on the billboards as a poster child for a promotion. He is so incredibly versatile, and he is so dynamic, is the best word for me to use. And I remember watching Season 2 of Lucha Underground and then watching Season 3 and going on into Season 4. When he was part of the storyline with Dario Cueto, and he was Matanza, and he played Matanza Cueto. I mean, the gimmick and the entire look of Jeff Cobb in that getup, in that gimmick, was some of the best shit you will see in pro wrestling, period. I mean, you want a monster heel. A monster heel done right. Lucha Underground, unfortunately, is not around anymore. But if you want a monster heel done right, Cobb made that character. I don't think if you put anybody else in that fucking getup that they're going to make it work as good as Jeff Cobb. They're not. They're not. Dynamic is Jeff Cobb. He looked like a legit fucking killer tonight. I don't know what he did in Ring of Honor. I don't know what type of portrayal he was in Ring of Honor. I don't know if he was a little bit more normalized in Ring of Honor, but he was an assassin. He was a hired gun. His look, his demeanor, his body language, his theme music fit everything that Jericho hired him for. He looked completely badass tonight, and this was awesome. Jericho's music hits. Cobb makes his way down to the ring. Jericho's music hits, and he's with Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager, and they're waving tickets around. And they have tickets to the show, and they got first row seats to watch Jeff Cobb and Jon Moxley. Now, his theme music hits, they shut it off, and everybody continues to sing. He's trying so hard to hold back a smile. Here was Chris Jericho. And my buddy Jesse said, you know, how many wrestling shows have we attended and we don't get a fucking theme music playing as we go to our seats? If only, right? In our imaginary worlds, if only. This one did the job. This one didn't go long. This one didn't overstay its welcome. It did its job, and it sold the pay-per-view match between Moxley and Jericho perfectly. So Cobb immediately comes out of the gate, intense, hit an overhead throw, and then a beautiful dropkick, dynamic dropkick on Jon Moxley. They exchanged strikes on the floor. Cobb then slammed Moxley's face into the ring steps. Moxley rolled inside, then hit a dive. Cobb hit a series of clubbing forearm shots. During the commercial break, Cobb sent Moxley over the barricade where Jericho stomped on him and hit him with the title belt. Gotta love Chris Jericho, man. He pays for a front row seat and then he wants to fucking hit Moxley with his title belt sitting front row. After the commercial break, we get back to live action. Moxley went on Cobb's leg. He went to work on Cobb's leg. Wrapped it around the steel post, trying to cut the big man down. Can't suplex if you don't got a leg to stand on. Taz was on commentary. Taz needs to be on commentary every single week. AEW. Why? Taz has got to be there. I'd like, if he's not there every week, I love a rotation of him and Excalibur. I really would. Seriously. Taz needs to be on the show. He adds a much different vibe and a much more analytical vibe to the show, whereas, you know, Excalibur and Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone are there. In my perfect world, it would be Schiavone, Excalibur, and Taz on commentary. Jim Ross, you know, some people are souring on Jim Ross. I think right now he's nothing more than a running meme on Dynamite, but at some point in your career, you just got to know when to back away. And I said this a couple weeks ago. Might have been last week. I don't remember. I think Jim Ross's talents are best served for doing something backstage in a backstage role instead of calling the action on Dynamite. That's just my opinion. No disrespect. He's one of the greatest of all time. I grew up with Jim Ross, but you kind of know when someone else is there to try and fill in the shoes there and add a little bit more of a better dynamic on commentary that you got Taz waiting and it's a crime that we don't hear him on the show. So that's just my opinion on that. No disrespect at all towards Jim Ross. So, with Moxley going to work on Cobb's leg, wraps it around the steel post, the left leg. Cobb responded with a tour of the islands. Cobb covered Moxley and picked him up before the 3 count. So he hit his finishing move, and then he kind of motioned over to Jericho. You want the job done? I'm going to kill this guy for you after his finishing move. So that was his mistake right there. That was the beginning of the end for Jeff Cobb. So Moxley tried to dive off the post to the floor. Cobb caught him and hit an overhead belly-to-belly on the floor, which looked great. Moxley blocked a tour of the islands attempt again. Cobb blocked a paradigm shift. The finish saw Cobb hit a superplex. Moxley trapped Cobb's leg on the landing, turning it into a cradle for the pin. Now, I think a lot of people were upset. Oh, why are you bringing in Jeff Cobb to have him lose this match to Jon Moxley tonight? Well, I don't think anybody, really, if you are of common sense, thought that Jeff Cobb was going to win this match. So I don't know why anybody was thinking that Jeff Cobb was going to win this match. Now, A, he lost. B, he looked great in defeat. And C, he lost because of a little sliver, a little cunt hair of an open that Moxley seen and he took advantage of. Unbelievable superplex, a little bit too much torque on the superplex, right? And Moxley seen that he had an open to hook Cobb's leg, and in that velocity, in that devastation of the superplex, it was just too much for him to kick out. Simple. I don't know why people are getting up in arms over Jeff Cobb losing to Jon Moxley. He was supposed to lose. So, After the match, obviously with the Inner Circle sitting at ringside, Jericho, Guevara, and Hager jumped in and jumped on Moxley. Dustin Rhodes came out for the attempted save. He was outnumbered because of the Inner Circle. The lights went out, and then we got the entire arena going dark, because you've seen the LED panels along the arena wall still lit up. Everything went dark. And then Darby Allin came out, and Jim Ross said he's back. Excuse me. I had to cough. I was holding that in all fucking show. I feel like Meltzer now. You guys have been listening to Meltzer, man. He's like coughing up a fucking lung. He went over to Wrestle Kingdom. He went over to Japan for Wrestle Kingdom. He's still coughing fucking 6 weeks later. Get that checked out, bro. Get that checked out. He's back, says Jim Ross. Ross explained how Guevara took away his voice because of the skateboard shot to the throat. Storytelling. So we got that being told on commentary, which is great. And Darby rolled to the ring, skateboarded to the ring. He attacked the Inner Circle with his skateboard. Dustin took Hager over the top rope. Cobb came in from behind Darby with a forearm. He tried to German suplex Darby, but Darby flipped through the German suplex and Darby landed on his feet. And then Moxley gave him a paradigm shift, which took out Jeff Cobb. And it came down to Moxley and Jericho. They went at each other. Jericho slid to the floor within mere seconds and grabbed his title belt and walked up the ramp. This was great. I usually shit on someone making their grand entrance. You got a fucking beatdown happening in the middle of the ring, right? Moxley's getting beat down. Dustin Rhodes is getting beat down. And then here comes Darby Allin as if he's wrestling a fucking wrestling match. The lights go out. He's doing his big ring entrance, like I said, as if he's fighting a match. He skateboards down to the ring, and he gets in the ring and he clears house with Jon Moxley. And the baby faces are over the heels. Normally, I would shit all over it, but the fans obviously didn't fucking care about it. You know, I just hate it from an aesthetics look. Like, really? You know, what? Did the heels just stop beating down the baby faces to look at, oh my God, it's Darby Allin, right? I don't like it. And it looks lame. It's like, okay, here's Act 4 in this match, and then cue Act 5, out comes Darby Allin. It doesn't have a natural feeling to it. I might be jumping in on it. I might be very critical just for the sake of being critical. I just don't like it from an aesthetics reason. WWE does it all the time, right? Charlotte's in the ring. Bianca comes out with her theme music. Bianca and Charlotte in the ring. Rhea Ripley comes out and does her whole fucking entrance. It's like, you're out there to cut a promo. You're out there to cut a promo. You're out there to save your babyface friends from a beatdown. Just skateboard down to the ring. Just skateboard down to the ring. That's all you need. You don't need the lights going out. You don't need fireworks and this and that. It just looks stupid. It looks silly. Either way, I loved it. After all that complaining, I love it. If AEW adds a secondary title, I don't give a fuck who's in the company. I don't give a shit if it's Brody Lee. I don't care if it's Brian Cage at that point. I don't care if it's Matt Hardy. I don't care if it's Paige, MJF, Darby Allin. They'll probably end up giving it to MJF because it always looks better on a heel first and then the babyface beating the heel, right? Not the other way around. But man, that secondary title has MJF and Darby Allin, no question, written all over it. This was great. It set up the pay-per-view match very nicely. And it was just a great segment. Happy to see Jeff Cobb in the ring. Hopefully we see more of him. Dynamic is Jeff Cobb. He can add a lot to AEW. Guys, before we continue on with the rest of the show. Oh, by the way, there was a picture-in-picture commercial. We had Darby Allin with the cue cards because he can't speak, right? Which is great. And he was in the picture-in-picture. He said, the Inner Circle is finished in 10 days in Chicago on February 29th. You're finished. Mox will take the title, but I will take so much more. Your voice at Revolution, I promise I will, ... hit you up. There you go. I think a lot of people are looking very much forward to Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. Might be a sleeper match on the show, man. Do not sleep on that match. Before we continue on with the second half of the show, guys, I just want to shout out my sponsor, Audible. They've been such a great friend of the show. Over 3 years in running now, of probably longer than that, probably 4 years now, running a sponsorship on the channel with Audible. They are very good friends of mine. If you guys want to get something for free for just listening to the show tonight, if you guys want to support the show by basically doing nothing, you guys can sign up using our link to Audible, audibletrial.com/offthescript. You guys can use our link. You're going to get 30 days free of their service and one free audiobook of your choice. The best part is you guys don't have to stay on. If you guys want to sign up and get the book, you can cancel anytime in that 30 days and still get to keep your audiobook for free. I know you AEW marks out there. Jim Ross has a new book coming out at the end of March. It'll be here before you know it. Under the Black Hat. You guys can pre-order it now using our link, audibletrial.com/offthescript. Go and get yourself Jim Ross's new book. Help support Audible, help support Off the Script, and I want to thank them for sponsoring the AEW Dynamite review this Wednesday right here on Off the Script. Up next was the Lucha Brothers versus Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page for the AEW Tag Team Championships. The match of the night. This was absolutely fantastic stuff here. Why are the Lucha Brothers getting a tag team title shot? Because in that big 8-man tag, where it was the Lucha Brothers and the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny versus, I believe it was the Bucks and then Omega and Page. It was Page not making the tag to the Bucks, which led them to losing, and the Lucha Brothers actually pinned Kenny Omega in that, or they pinned Page, I believe, in that match. Either way, they pinned the tag team champions in that match. So they are granted, and I do believe they were the number one team in the division anyway, but they get a shot at the tag team titles, and we are here tonight in Atlanta. This was awesome. The best match on the show tonight. Page and Omega, they were up on the Lucha Brothers early, using a series of their tandem offense, which I love. I love the tandem offense between Page and Omega. It's so, and I'm going to use this word again, dynamic. It's just so great. So we had Omega hitting a Kotaro Crusher and a You Can't Escape, aided by a standing shooting star press from Page. Love it. Pentagon and Phoenix began making a comeback. We go to commercial break. So we got the baby faces being beat down. The heels are in control during the commercial break. After all the commercials, it was Page and Omega back in control. Phoenix hit a huge fucking plancha to Page. And then Penta hit a destroyer to Omega. Phoenix ran the top rope, kicked Omega on the apron. Him running the top rope and using no hands while keeping balance like that is absolutely a sight to behold. It is amazing the things that these guys can do. So he kicked Omega right in the face. Penta teased a pile driver on the apron, but Omega blocked. Phoenix hit a Rana out of the ring to the floor on Omega. Page hit a dive off the post to Phoenix. Crowd was legitimately standing up for this entire match. This segment, this sequence was fucking great. Page hit a pop-up powerbomb to Penta. Omega hit a V-trigger. Page tried a buckshot lariat. Penta move. Page accidentally nailed Omega. This was a great tease for the big explosion that we will see at Revolution. It's coming, folks, and it's going to be glorious. Now, will Page be the heel? Will Page be booed? I don't know. Because you add a dose of alcohol to Adam Page's gimmick, I don't think he's going to be the heel that we all expected him to be at the beginning of this pairing. It's going to be a weird situation at Revolution, but something I am immensely intrigued by. So Phoenix hit another fucking I don't even know what you call it, a fucking mega corkscrew plancha to the floor on Page. Penta hit the Penta driver on Omega for an unbelievable near fall. My God, the impact on that Penta driver. Omega was left to face both Phoenix and Penta with Page down on the floor. Omega hit a V-trigger, kneeing Phoenix out of midair. Then we see the finish. Omega and Page hit Phoenix with a combination V-trigger and a buckshot lariat. Page covered and pinned Phoenix, and that was it. This was great stuff. This was, when the Bucks won the Tag Team Battle Royal, this was pretty much inevitable, but man, the fucking match they gave us and those near falls were just a thing of beauty. They really were. After the match, the Bucks ran down to help Omega. Kenny actually got up. If you guys were paying attention, Kenny got up and backed away, and he looked at the Bucks like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get away from me. You know, like, Page is there too. It was almost as if he wanted the Bucks to just get away. Like, Page is just as much a part of this team as I am. Go check on him too. That's the vibe I got from that. But Paige looked at this with the Bucks going over to Kenny and not really going over to him and showing him any concern at all. So he's like, fuck this shit. He went out of the ring and he took a beer, he took another beer and just went into the crowd and disappeared like he has been. It's going to be interesting how they play all of this up. It really is. This was great. Easily the best thing on the show. And man, tag team wrestling. Tag team fucking wrestling. Man, this was great. Main event. Main event time. Cody versus big man Wardlow in the steel cage match. The final piece to the puzzle before Cody gets MJF. Steel cage looked amazing. It really did. It reminded me, it looked like a mini War Games cage. That's the best way for me to put it. It reminded me of a classic steel cage with big time Hell in a Cell elements. Old school Hell in a Cell. It looked great. Whoever did that steel cage design, whoever came up with that steel cage design, it looked fantastic. It really did. Very much old school feel to that steel cage. Now, it's not the blue bar steel cage. I love my favorite steel cage is the blue bar steel cage. Remember back in 1994 SummerSlam with Brett and Owen Hart, one of the greatest steel cage matches for the WWF Championship of all time. SummerSlam in Chicago. Great steel cage match. That's the blue bar steel cage match that I remember, you know? But I was very much looking forward to this. Wardlow, what was he going to look like? What was he going to be like in the ring for the first time? How is this storyline going to develop? Is MJF going to get involved? What's the story here after this? Everything just running through my head in this point of the show. Wardlow came out first. Shivani said Wardlow is bigger and stronger, but Cody is more experienced and has the home field advantage. Cody climbed the side of the cage, looked around when he came out, got the big entrance, crowd went crazy. They look at this guy like a fucking god. All these people that are big AEW fanatics, they look at Cody like he can do no wrong. It's great. They battled back and forth early. Wardlow nailed Cody with a hard clothesline, rammed him into the steel cage, and then they cut to break, and Cody seen color during the commercial break. I'm like, is he bleeding? Is he bleeding? And then I looked, and I see he's bleeding. Back live, Cody, obviously we see more and more he was bleeding from his forehead as Wardlow was tossing him around like a piece of garbage. Cody came back with a cutter off the middle rope, pounded his forehead, showed some fire and intensity. Cody then mounted Wardlow in the corner, started punching him away, the 10 count. Warlow rubbed Cody's forehead against the cage, some more slammed him into the door, and this door swung open. Now, that door didn't look very secure. The door wasn't locked. Those steel cage matches, especially if the rules of a steel cage, this is what I don't get. If the rules of a steel cage match are pinfall and submission only, and escape is not an option, the door should have been locked. The door should have not been open like that, but I guess they kept it open because they wanted to do this little thing with MJF and Arn Anderson on the outside. So the door swung open, and the rules here were explained by Jim Ross again as the door swung open, that the door here, the door being open, is irrelevant, but the steel cage match is supposed to keep people out of the ring. There should be no easy access for people to get into the cage if the cage is supposed to keep people out. I don't understand the logic sometimes. I really don't. The door should have been locked. Seriously, if the door wasn't going to play a factor, steel cage matches, you ascend the cage and you drop down to the floor, or you exit the door through the cage. If that wasn't being played into the rules, the door should have been locked. Simple. I can't let them get away with that. I gotta fucking criticize them for that. So MJF is over there, and Arn Anderson is trying to prep talk, or I guess hype up Cody in this instance, being that he's in trouble. MJF is over there with Arn Anderson, and he's yelling at Arn to slam the door in Cody's head. You know you want to. Do it. Do it. So instead of slamming the door in Cody's head, he swung the door backwards and nailed MJF with the door. Cody began to come back, 2 clotheslines. Wardlow didn't go down. Cody sidestepped a charging Wardlow, threw him into the cage. When Cody climbed to the top rope, Wardlow picked him up and threw him into the side of the cage. Wardlow then climbed up to the top rope, and my God, you talk about a fucking swanton bomb off the top rope. For a guy like Wardlow to do a swanton bomb like he did to perfection is a thing of beauty. That was gorgeous. Swanton by Wardlow. So, at this point, MJF, by the way, he got a near fall on that swanton. MJF handed Wardlow the diamond ring. Slid the diamond ring into the cage. And Cody stood up and kicked Wardlow in the balls before he could use the diamond ring. Cody put the diamond ring on. MJF threw a hissy fit on the outside. He began climbing the cage. Brandy came over with a steel chair and started bashing MJF with the steel chair. MJF climbed down, got in Brandy's face. He was threatening to punch Brandy in the face. Arn Anderson then came over to save Brandy, threw MJF over the barricade into the crowd. Cody gave Wardlow a crossroads for a 2 count. Wardlow kicked out. They cut to Brandy at ringside reacting with MJF in the crowd. People were going crazy. Cody looked up at the top of the cage, and then he took his weight belt off. He climbed the top of the cage, and he stood up top. I don't know if he said a light prayer or whatnot, but I don't know if Wardlow was out of position. Cody did not look at where Wardlow was. He did not even second guess what the fuck he was doing. He climbed, and just as quick as he climbed, Cody just launched himself off this fucking steel cage. Had to be at least 20 feet in the air. And he landed a beautiful moonsault. I don't even know if he connected with Wardlow the way he wanted. It looked like he grazed his shoulder. Who the fuck cares? The visual of Cody doing a fucking moonsault, the sound of the impact with him coming down in the ring and nailing Wardlow with this moonsault. Unbelievable. The visual of Cody, the fucking lunatic. Cody Rhodes, holy shit. This was fucking awesome. He made the cover, and he wins the match. Cody then stood on the top of the cage, looked around the crowd. His face was bloody, and it was just great. It was so awesome. This show, I cannot say enough good things about this show. This was the best. I said it last week, and now I'm here repeating myself again because somehow they topped what they did last week. This was a pay-per-view caliber show on Dynamite tonight. This show was the best Dynamite show in all 20 weeks of TV. This is them at their high. I know it's going to get better. They're going to come down from this high. I know it's not going to be this good every single week, but man, you got to give them their props. This show was fucking phenomenal. And do you know why this show was phenomenal, folks? Wrestling, storytelling, engagement. You care. Simple. Simple ingredients like this make a show that much better. Monday night and Friday night could absolutely take a recipe out of AEW's cookbook. That's all I'm saying. They refuse to do so. That's why they're producing garbage. AEW has been producing the best wrestling right now, compared to Monday and Friday. The best wrestling on TV right now. NXT is always going to be the number one promotion in North America. But right now, what AEW is doing right now, it's absolutely can't miss. Tonight is a reason why you know I watch this live and then NXT for a second. Why I watch AEW first and NXT second. Awesome show. Guys, I'm getting out of here. Thank you so very much for joining me. Again, if you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell for all notifications. If you missed any of my other content, links are down below in the description of this very video. Patreon.com/JD4MNY206 and audibletrial.com/offthescript. Guys, thank you so much for a great episode of Dynamite. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon as we talk about NXT and the fallout from what was an amazing NXT TakeOver Portland show. The Fallout show, Dream versus Strong. We got Jordan Devlin versus Leo Rush for the Cruiserweight Championship. And what is Tommaso Ciampa going to say about Johnny Gargano stabbing him in the back? We'll talk about it on Thursday afternoon, and I'll see you guys then for NXT.